2 years ago, there were more applications on our desk than we had positions available, right? The economy had stalled, and everybody said, wow, that's the good news of a bad economy. The bad news is as things start to rectify themselves, now all of a sudden there's this impending labor shortage just bringing so many businesses to their knees. And the question is, as employers, as leaders, as managers, as business owners, how do we find good people for our businesses? Well, I'm going to ask you to define that a little bit further. And you're going to need a pen or something to write with, because I'm going to give you a 30-second little quiz here. So if you got a pen, something to write on, something to write with, pull it out as fast as you can. If you don't have one, you could probably do it mentally, but it'll help you a whole lot if you're able to write this down. Here's the simple quiz. Let's just say that you and I happen to be on a flight together. We pull back from the gate at DIA, and then all of a sudden they make us put away our electronics, and we're waiting to take off, and they announce a hold. It's some kind of a mechanical, some kind of a gate hold, and we're forced to just stop. So we stop, and then we don't know how long it's going to be, and before long we're just so bored we do that thing that sometimes bored people do. We talk. I reach over and I go, hello, my name is so and such, and you go, hi, I'm so and so is going to ask such and such a question. Maybe such and such will ask so and so. It's the question that adults always ask each other. What is that question? What do you do? Because we're not human beings, we're human doings. What do you do? And you say, I am, and you finish and tell me what you do. And I go, that's really interesting. That's cool. What's the biggest challenge in your business? And I know if I was asking Brian, he'd say, well, we're going to grow, but it's hard to find the right people. And I say, well, you're in luck, because I happen to be the CEO of the People Store. I can hook you up. I can get you any kind of people you want. All I need to know is, what does it take to be successful in your business? Now, here's the question. I'm going to give you 30 seconds with a pen. I just want you to write down 5 words. If I asked you that question, what does it take to be successful in your business? Oh, by the way, you do not need to get a sign holder anymore, because I went to Pizza Expo and I found this. This is a robotic sign holder, right? So will technology solve the problem for us? Maybe, but that's probably not exactly what we're looking for. Here's the question. I'm going to ask you. I want you to write down 5 words that describe the kind of people that succeed in your organization, the kind of words you would use in a job description if you were hiring for your company right now. If you were hiring, what words would you use? 5 simple words. Here we go, 30 seconds. I'm going to give you a 30-second clock. As fast as you can, write down the 5 words, the people that you would look for to replace yourself, people that you would want in your business, people that you would want to bring on. Stop. Whether you got all 5 or not, that's not the question. The question is, what words did you just write down? Let's classify them in 1 to 2 buckets. What I want you to do is simply, to the left of each of those words, I want you to put an S beside each one of those words you just wrote down that you happen to believe is a trainable skill. And put a CV next to each of the words that you believe is a core value. Right? It's a value. Right? An attitude, a value. Write that down. Skills or core values. And then let's survey our Denver audience of leaders. Because my question is, how many people have 5 S's right now? 5 S's on your page. Not one person, 4. Anyone with 3? 2? 1? Couple hands. Okay, let's flip it on its ear. How many people have 3 or more core values? Raise your hand. 3 or more. Look around the room. 4 or more. 5 or more. They say we have a skills gap in America. You know what we just proved? Right here, right tonight, we don't have a skills gap. We have a core values gap. Because we can teach people our business. But who's supposed to teach them the words you just wrote down? I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess the words you wrote down, because I've interviewed close to 1,500 different business owners, leaders, managers, people that own the little pizza shop down the street, all the way to the CEO of Harley Davidson. Exact same questions. 30 seconds. What kind of people are you looking for in your business? Regardless of the industry, regardless of the level, the size of the company, what are you looking for? And it seems like we're all looking for the same people. Because the words I hear over and over again fall into one of, now there's a lot of different synonyms, but people say all the time, we're looking for happy, enthusiastic, upbeat, positive people. If you have something like that down on your page, say amen. Amen. Tired of hiring people that brighten your workspace when they leave? Right? And We need positive people. That's certainly something we need. Oh, by the way, it's not enough to be positive. We want people who are going to show up, who are going to be there when they're supposed to be there. It's all about timing, punctuality. Do they have our back? Can we count on them, right? We want people who are going to be there when they're supposed to be there. And by the way, we're looking for professionals. And people say, well, what do you mean by a professional? Somebody who separates their personal from their professional life. Because we all have a personal life. And it's important to have a personal life and our personal identity. But for crying out loud, don't come into the workplace wearing a fuzzy bedroom slippers and a big t-shirt that says my inner child is a nasty bastard. That may be true. But come to work representing us. It's our brand and the way you conduct yourself, the way you talk, carry yourself, the things that you do in the workplace. Act like a pro. And we want people that are going to respect our rules and our culture. Oh, by the way, we want people who are going to take initiative. My dad always used to call this elbow grease. Remember, the only way that an employer will hire you is if you solve problems for them. So don't just sit there and wait for something to happen. See something needs to be done and do it. You know, it may not be your job. That's okay. Can you add value? Are you learning as much as you can about the industry, the company, the organization, or is it just slow time and you sit back and say, it's time to play Angry Birds? Are you learning, investing in yourself? Are you taking the initiative to be better today than you were yesterday? And now this thing called respect, because we want people who are going to respect our rules and our culture. It's not necessary that they like the rules or even that they like their manager. But will they adhere to them, follow the rules and follow the culture? And what about people that we can trust? People that have integrity, right? Wouldn't you rather one of your employees calls in well? Let me say that again. Calls in well. Calls you and says, hey, it's a beautiful day outside. There's no way I can come into work today. Look, I'm going to go play some frisbee golf, something with my friend. Wouldn't you rather somebody calls in well, then goes, can't make it today. I'm just not feeling good. Then they come in the next day, they have a raccoon tan, and you're going, See, it's the same result, but in one situation you can trust them, in the other they just pierce that bubble of integrity, and you'll always wonder. And last but not least, we want people who choose to work with us. People who have gratitude. Now, gratitude is very different than being positive. Positive is how you feel on the inside. Gratitude is your active demonstration of it on the outside. Gratitude says, I'm going to make your day. Gratitude says, I'm going to leave my problems on the dashboard, and I'm here to solve your problems for you. And anything I can, that's the nucleus of customer service. And customer service in America is dead. We want in every position, whether you're dealing with external customers, internal customers, people above you, below you, people that have gratitude says, this is where I am right now. I'm not just here parking my resume for a short period of time so I can get a bigger, better, more later. I want here, now for you. So let me go back to that airplane. We're sitting on the airplane, and you tell me what you're looking for, and you give me a list. And let's say you use these words. And I say, okay, I can hook you up with people who have 6 of those characteristics. They test off the chart in 6. They're just deficient in the 7th. Which one, Bill? Which one are you going to turn around and say, I don't care about that. I don't care if they're positive. I don't care if they show up for work on time. I don't care if they dress appropriately. I don't care if they respect my rules. I don't care if I trust them. I don't care if they take initiative. I don't care if they have gratitude. Is there any of them that you would knowingly hire an individual in your organization that was deficient in one or more of these areas? I've never met the employer that says no. In fact, that's a list of non-negotiables. And so we call those in America soft skills. And it's really a crime because it makes them sound secondary. And what we just proved here is that's what we're really looking for. We can train the hard skills. Yes, we want people who are credentialed, educated, have some technical skills. But what about these core work ethic values? So I started looking for something that could help my clients with about 6 years ago because everyone was complaining about core work. I couldn't find the book. So 3 years ago, my book came out. It was called Reviving Work Ethic. It was the first book written on work ethic in 100 years. It literally talked about how to develop these skills in people who should have learned these things probably at home or at school, but didn't. And it isn't about an age demographic, because you see young people all the time who have an amazing work ethic. And you see people my age and older that never got the memo. Here's the good news. When you hire somebody young, you can mold and shape them. By the time they hit 35, that cake is baked, right? So the question is, what is work ethic? Well, to write this book, I had to start with the definition. And there is no definition in the dictionary of work ethic. I had to break it into 2 words, starting with the second word. Second word is, I looked it up in Webster's. The second word of work ethic is ethic. And ethic comes from the Latin word ethos. And ethos it means your moral compass, the way you look at the world. It's dealing with good or bad, your set of moral principles. I have a 1-year-old grandson. Augie. And you know, Augie has no ethic because he has no knowledge yet. He's just learning right from wrong. It's hard to say what's your ethic because ethic is based upon that which you know in your heart to be true. Now, when you look at work, work is very different. Look it up in the dictionary. Work will tell you right there it's an activity to exert strength, to perform something. It's an activity, a sustained mental or physical effort to achieve a result. So next time you see one of your people just staring out the window and you say, what are you doing? And they say, I'm working. Say, well, technically you are not. Because to work means you're doing something. And that's what work is. Work is doing. Ethic is knowing. Do you know what work ethic is? Work ethic is knowing what to do and doing it. Think about your businesses. Isn't that what you're looking for? People who know what to do and do it? If it's still a little hard and fuzzy in your mind, let me give you a pictorial. You know, Supreme Court was asked years ago, what is pornography? They said, we don't know how to define it. We just know it when we see it. What's the same thing with work ethic? You know it. You know work ethic when you see it, right? But you also know it when you don't. Feel me? Right? Are we on the same page? Know when you see it, know when you don't. So now here's the deal. I'm going to ask a series of questions because the best way to write a book is to ask good questions, to figure out what people are struggling with. And one of the biggest questions I've been asked over the last 15 years is, how do I motivate my people? Have you asked that? Have you asked that question? Not of me, but of just, how do I motivate my people? Help me just motivate them. And I would love to have written a book that says, well, here's how to motivate your people. But one of the best motivational speakers, and he actually refuses that label, but is my good friend Mark Sanborn, who's here, has written a number of books, and he's one of the, I mean, you look up top motivational speakers in the world, and Mark, I think he's standing over there somewhere. Maybe he ducked out. Mark? He's down the hall. He's heard me before. There he is. So, well, Mark would tell you that motivation is a warm bath. Motivation is like eating Chinese food. You eat it, and an hour later, you're hungry again. Motivation leaves when the motivator leaves. So it really wasn't the question, how do I motivate my people? People wanted results. They wanted motivated employees. And the question was, how do you inspire them? And so I stopped and I started thinking, well, wait a second. You have to go to the core root of why people actually work. So let me ask you that question. I have a master's degree in career counseling. And if you sat down in front of me and said, hey, I just lost my business. Everything just fell apart. Alien life form came and zapped my enterprise away, and now I got to start all over again. We'd start with a very fundamental question. The question is, what do you want? What do you expect out of this thing called a job? What do you want? Not what company do you want to work for, you know, how much, what is it you really want? Now, if I asked you that question, how would you respond? Most people would probably say, one of the first things that's important to them in a job is what? Paycheck, compensation. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all want to be compensated, right? But compensation isn't enough. We want to be aligned with the companies we work with. If we could double your salary, but it meant working for a company that was a little unscrupulous, maybe they were taking advantage of third world child labor or putting harmful pollutants into the environment, would you take that job? Or would you say, no, I don't think so? See, because we don't want to work with a company that has the same kind of values that we have. And by the way, that's not enough. When we're at work, we work so much, we want to have a little bit of fun. We want to have an atmosphere, something that makes us feel good on the inside, right? We go to work and we like the people that we work with. We like the people that we report to. We agree with who and what they are, and there's an element that when we're there, we're saying, this is enjoyable, right? So we want some atmosphere. And by the way, we don't want to do the same job over and over again. If I asked you to write down your job title right now, I said, okay, write your job title 5 years from now, would it be the same? Even if you're a business owner, wouldn't it change somewhat? Wouldn't you say, well, I also want to grow? Because everybody out there now wants to grow. Nobody wants to do the same thing over and over again for the next 40 years for a little gold watch at the end in a retirement party. Everybody is looking to grow themselves and work for some organization where they have an opportunity to be better tomorrow than they are today. And by the way, that's not even enough. Because we don't want people micromanaging us. I'll ask you this question. Again, double your salary, but you have to do twice the reports, and somebody's going to stand over your shoulder and watch how you do them and comment every time you make a mistake. But I'll double your salary. No, we want some autonomy. We want to be able to make a decision. And we want to know if we make a decision, someone's going to have our back, right? We're going to know that someone's going to, if it doesn't work out, that it's okay. That's what real autonomy is. And we want to know what's going on here too. We want communication. We want to know what's going on behind those closed doors. Are we making money, losing money? Is there some opportunities here I don't know about? Tell me what's happening when you close the doors. And even that's not enough. If I have an idea, does someone listen to me? Last but not least, we want to work for a company where when we do a good job, somebody notices. We get an attaboy. Someone pats us on the back. We get some acknowledgement, which is even a higher form of this thing called recognition. So let's just look at these 7 things. Because I looked at those 7 things and I said, those are pretty fundamental. In fact, again, I don't know if there's anyone in here, if you could get a job and you could get 6 of those but not the 7th, which one would you let go of? Would you say, I don't care about my compensation? I don't care what kind of company I work for. I don't care if they tell me what's going on around here. I don't care if anybody ever compliments me. I don't care if I grow my career. And the answer is, of course not. So what we have here is a real clear, interesting scenario between the 7 things that every employer is supposed to provide and the 7 things that every employee is supposed to bring to the table. See, when you look at it, you've got the and the E. And at that junction between the and the E right there, we can learn a whole lot because there's things that the employer is supposed to provide, things that the employee is supposed to provide, and when you look at the line between them, you're going to have this magical thing called engagement. Now, if you go to Amazon right now and look for a book on employee engagement, you better be ready to do some shopping. As of this morning, there were 7,284 books on employee engagement. Because that's what we want, right? I think we're playing for a tie. I think engagement is just a buzzword. Because doesn't engagement happen on day number 1? Right? Doesn't it happen right when we start? We get what we want, they're supposed to give us. We wouldn't take the job, we wouldn't hire them. And so what does that mean? That means what we're afraid of is something called disengagement. And according to the recent statistics and the polls, and I could quote a million sources, over half our workforce is either disengaged or actively disengaged. They don't want to work for you. They hate their job. They hate you. And they're going to kick you down, right? Haven't you ever worked in a company like that? Ooh. And it's this disengagement. They're actively working against your goals. What does that mean? Well, we'll settle for engagement. Hence 7,000 books on employee engagement. And I think there's a higher level. Because being an entrepreneur, I believe I want to have people work for me the way I would work for me. Rather than just how much time do I have to put in. Investing their whole self. That's a level I call on fire at work.